Coming up on Diplomatic Channel, the war in Syria, America's move to withdraw troops, and what the other allies think concerning the war. While the Yellow Vest protests continue in France, President Emmanuel Macron visits troops in Chad. Plus our special interview with the head of mission at the French Consulate General in Lagos, Mr. Laurent Polonceau, on Nigeria-France relations. Hello everyone, Merry Christmas and welcome to Diplomatic Channel. I am Amarachi Ubani. What an interesting week it has been as regards the United States and her allies. President Donald Trump announced the withdrawal of at least 2,000 troops from Syria, saying the war against the Islamic State militants has been won. Allies in the coalition against the IS do not think so, and now there are jitters what the withdrawal could mean for the coalition and the impact it could have on the militant group determined to take control of new territories.
The U.S. President Donald Trump has defended his decision to pull at least 2,000 American troops from Syria, declaring victory over the Islamic State militants. In a series of tweets on Thursday last week, the president said he was keeping with the campaign promise to leave Syria, saying the move means Russia, Iran and Syria will have to fight the militant group without U.S. help, despite releasing a video saying the militants had already been defeated.
We've been fighting for a long time in Syria. I've been president for almost 2 years, and we've really stepped it up. And we have won against ISIS. We've beaten them, and we've beaten them badly. We've taken back the land, and now it's time for our troops to come back home.
Vice President, has the president ordered troops to pull out of Syria?
While the president's decision faced criticism back home from U.S. senators.
The decision to withdraw an American presence in Syria is a colossal, in my mind, mistake, a grave error that's going to have significant repercussions in the years and months to come. Is because now that the U.S. has withdrawn or is going to withdraw from Syria, we have basically turned the country over to Russia and to an even greater extent Iran.
If this decision is a withdrawal of all of our forces in Syria, now we're dramatically less safe. This is an Obama-like move. ISIS would not be alive today if it were not for Obama's decision to withdraw from Iraq. And I'll have to say, if Trump withdraws from Syria, and they do come back, like I think they will, he'll be one of the reasons they came back.
Outside of the United States, reactions were varied.
There's
been a lot of progress. It's true that we've had progress in Syria with the coalition, but this fight continues. We will continue to carry it out.
Elle a fait des grands progrès, c'est vrai qu'on a beaucoup avancé.
Now the Syrian issue is at a new and critical juncture, with a rising momentum of political settlement. China has always insisted that the sovereignty, independence and territorial integrity of Syria should be respected, and the future of Syria should be independently decided by the Syrian people themselves. Under the current situations, we hope that all the relevant sides in Syria will join hands to facilitate the inclusive Syrian-led and Syrian-owned political process as soon as possible, so as to promote the proper settlement of the Syrian issue at an early date.
Russian President Vladimir Putin said he largely agreed with the U.S. president that Islamic State had been defeated, but added that he was skeptical whether the United States will withdraw fully from Syria. Turkish President Recep Erdogan, a strong critic of American policy in Syria, said he would delay a planned military operation in Syria's northeast. He welcomed the U.S. decision to withdraw troops from Syria and said Washington should coordinate with Ankara on the pullout of its troops. And as Syrians themselves become uneasy with the U.S. move, the government called on support from the US-backed Syrian Democratic Forces to open the way for Syrian government forces to enter eastern Euphrates. The SDF are in the final stages of a campaign to recapture areas seized by IS militants. but they face the threat of a military incursion by Turkey, which considers the Kurdish fighters who spearheaded the group to be a terrorist organization.
As expected, President Trump's announcement of U.S. troop withdrawal from Syria has drawn some reactions from experts as well. My guest on the program, Adebayo Adeleke, is a dynamic leader with global insights on a broad array of issues. He is also a seasoned combat veteran of the United States Army with over 20 years of service. I talked to him about what the U.S. withdrawal could mean for America, the world, and the Islamist State. Adebayo, thank you for joining us on Diplomatic Channel.
Thank you.
Last Wednesday, President Donald Trump announced the withdrawal of over 2,000 troops from Syria, to the shock of many of the allies and practically the whole world. Do you think this was a smart decision for the president?
I know there's been an onslaught of criticism on both sides of the aisle and across the world about the decision President Trump made, but to be honest with you, that is his constitutional right as the President of the United States to assess the threat and realign forces as needed. As you can see, it's not only that Syria is going to be the only one being impacted by this. We're going to have about 7,000 troops being withdrawn from Afghanistan. And also, I don't know if you know about this, about 700 troops will be actually leaving Africa as well. I mean, of about 10% of the troops that are in Africa. That's about, some of them actually fighting in Chad, Niger, and in Mali. So this is within his constitutional right now. That being said, I think a lot of criticism came for the fact that a lot of the coalition forces, that are a lot of partners that we've been working together on this war on extremism, were not consulted. He has normally done, there is no right or wrong answer to this, but the normal protocol is you consult, he has to be, somebody's coalition partners supposed to be consulted. Now, I wasn't privy to what was going on. I don't think, most of what we've read came out of the white pages, so a lot of, as you can see, the leading envoy for the U.S. on Islamic State actually resigned, and also the Secretary of Defense as well. And some of those guys, they were successful, and they are successful, and their reputation is at stake because of what they'll be able to do with coalition forces over their course of career. So I completely understand from that standpoint, as well as that of the Congress as well, because we've been through this road before, where we withdrew prematurely out of Iraq. That gave rise to ISIS. So I understand historically why they kind of concerned about this decision, but smart decision or not, I think time will tell.